Welcome to Digital Hospitality. I'm your host, Sean Walchef. This is a Cali BBQ Media production. We are coming to you live from the Restaurant Transformation Tour at the Wiltern Theater in Hollywood, presented by Restaurant365. It's a super exciting event. We believe deeply in our thesis, which is all businesses need to be digital first and all businesses need to be in the hospitality business. That's why we put on this show. That's why we're excited to be here. Today we have Bill Valentas, the Chief Financial Officer for Freddy's. You just came off the main stage. They picked you out of all of their partners. They have 30,000 restaurant partners. They wanted you to come and drop some knowledge. So thank you for spending some time and letting our audience know why Freddy's, number one, and why is it important for Freddy's to be at events like this?
Well, we're always trying to transform ourselves, right? And so we were a founder-led business for 20 years of our lives, and we were bought by private equity last year, and so that has helped us even transform more. So we took that step out of a founder-led business into a private equity-led business, and that has different requirements in it. And that one of those requirements is being more digital.
Yeah.
Right? And so being able to react to things and really being able to take that information and roll it up very quickly so that everybody can see what the numbers look like.
So let's start from the beginning. Give us the Freddy story. Tell us about the restaurant, about the brand, how it got to. We have a lot of single unit barbecue, not just barbecue, but hospitality and small business owners that listen to this podcast. We have dreams of getting that private equity buyout. Tell us the Freddy story and then how it got to the point where you guys acquired it.
So Freddy's was started in 2002 by two friends and a brother. So Bill Simon and Scott Redler were friends, and Randy Simon was the brother who jumped in. They created a concept where what they wanted, right? So the idea was simply, we want to open one restaurant.
Yeah.
And we want it to be a good burger, smash burger, and we want to serve custard. And we want to have Julienne fries, and we want to have hot dogs, specifically Vienna hot dogs.
Okay.
And so they started the business under that premise of, we want one restaurant. And so 2 years into that, a franchisee came along, or a potential franchisee came along and said, I really love this, I'd love to franchise this. And they went back and forth, and they finally said, okay. So in 2004, they had their first franchisee. And then from there, it slowly grew, right? They opened 1 or 2, 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, just kept growing. When I started in 2015, we were at 121 stores.
Wow.
And from there, we built the base of how do we get bigger, right? So that little dream of having one was a funny joke when I started, because that came up multiple times, and every time we talked,
Really?
Our goal was one. So what we have is we're super excited about, but we don't want to ruin this for the money. We want to create a concept that really has the ability to be impactful in the restaurant space, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think they were, right? They were focused on keeping a clean restaurant, having hospitality, and having good quality product. And they never deviated from it. And not even to this day do we deviate from that. Our core mission is still our core mission. Even through the transaction of becoming from founder-led to private equity-led, we have not changed the way we do things. We've done it. We do it more. It's a bigger plan, right? But it's the same way. And so I think that consistency helps us be today, because that's what everybody likes about Freddy's.
So one of the things that I'm fascinated with, and it's why we put on the show, why we have this podcast, is this video content we put out, the blog that we put out is story. Getting back to the story. There's a point in everyone's journey where you buy into the story. So you came in 2015. What was it about the story that you said, I have to be a part of what they're building, and I think that we can take it to the next level?
So I met Scott Redler, one of the co-founders, while we were doing an engagement together with a not-for-profit. And just being engaged with him and talking through things, and we did some structural changes for that not-for-profit that really got me to see him as a person, right? To see the other side of him.
Yeah.
Everybody knows him in Wichita for who he is. He can walk around, he's a celebrity in Wichita. And it's that other side of him, right, that got me connected. And then when I came in and met Bill Simon and Randy Simon, it was the same thing. they were all the same people, and they were genuine, and they always did things to say they were going to do. And so that was encouraging, right? And my past career is I was at Lone Star Steakhouse, and that's what placed me in Wichita. So, being in the steak business and then going to Steakburgers, I was excited because we didn't have to deal with alcohol.
Yeah.
Right. And so, an alcohol in a business it's a great profit margin, but there's a lot of other things that go with it.
We know, we own a bar.
Yep. And so when you can have some of that, and the simplicity of the menu, and just the work ethic of the people, and the people make what Freddy's is.
Yeah.
And so our teams, our staff in the office, our staff in the stores is what makes Freddy's. And that's what draws me to it, and continues to draw me to it. I feel like I don't work anymore because I'm going in because I want to go in, right? I want to keep getting better. I want to keep pushing the level that we can go to. But sometimes that puts pressure on everybody else because we might be growing too fast, or we might be growing, past that point of where people get comfortable, that you have to get everybody comfortable again, right? And you have to kind of reset. And so, that's the fun of it, right? Is getting everybody on the same page, teaching people new things. We don't want our managers to be working all the time, but I don't want to have to have them doing accounting.
Yes.
And so using technology, we're able to kind of bridge that gap so that we can give them real-time information, but they don't really have to do any accounting wise, right? Mm-hmm. They leave that up to us, and we leave the restaurant operations up to them, right? And so having that balance helps us a lot.
Can you talk about the accounting tools specifically that you guys are using within the restaurants?
So we use Restaurant365, and we've used it since 2016.
So a year after you came.
Yep.
So what was the compelling reason that, back to story, we all buy into story, and the same thing happens, like I said, this podcast, we analyze what happens in real life, and in the hospitality business, we're phenomenal in hospitality, but it's the technology that's coming into our business that's helping us be more efficient, more cost effective, delivering frictionless guest experiences. What in the story of Restaurant365 was it that made you go, this is going to work across all of across the scale that we're trying to grow to?
It was the ability for Restaurant365 to keep refeeding me the presentation over and over again. So we were uncertain in the beginning, right?
We all
Everything
are.
We were looking
Yeah.
at, and understanding the concept of how you connect it to the POS, to your accounting system, that it makes it easier. And so we got over that hump pretty quick, but it was all the other things that go into it. And Restaurant365 stayed with us and kept working us through. And even at the point where we said, yes, we're going to move forward with this because we think it's going to help us, the idea was, even after we implemented, we were still having some issues.
Sure.
Right? But the conversation we had, and I'll never forget it, was, we built, Restaurant365 said, we built this with certain things in mind. So everything you're trying to do is your old way.
Yes.
Just open your mind and think about what we can tell you how to do it. And that changed our game, right? So I've implemented accounting systems before and used a little of that, but I lost sight of that. And that reminder of what we need to do really helped us start to say, okay, this is our opportunity. Let's reset everything we're doing into this format, and then let's strengthen what we're doing. And it really paid dividend because, our staff is now working smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
Our accountants are becoming analysts and looking at things. So like when we launched delivery, when it comes through our POS, if there's an error, they see it the next day because they're looking at the transactions the next day. And so we're able to go back and fix that. And then because we're usually doing first, we're fixing it for the whole system.
Yeah.
So those things help us because our accountants do more than an accountant does. And I'm super lucky that they do that because that was the goal in mind. Is I didn't want to have people doing data entry. I wanted to have people thinking about what they're doing,
Yes.
being impactful in what they're doing and adding value to what they're doing, and give them growth. And those people who started with that are still in those positions, and they're growing. They have different job responsibilities now, and that work keeps getting better and better and better because they're engaged, because they do have a say in what they do. And that helps them feel connected to the stores.
Yeah, I think what's been fascinating for me is seeing companies like Restaurant365. We always say that humans are at the heart of technology. The technology has to work. If the technology doesn't work, and it's not that it's going to be perfect, because it's an evolution. Like you said, it's always going to be progressing, always going to be iterating, making improvements. As we restaurant owners give feedback to technology companies, what they do with that feedback really shows what kind of leadership they have involved. And from the interactions that I've had with Tony Smith and with Morgan Harris and the entire Restaurant365 team, what I see is a responsiveness to hospitality professionals. Like, we do this for a living. Literally, we take care of our villages, our communities, our cities, our counties, our countries, and we take care of our teams, we take care of everybody. But what we need to be more responsive to our tech partners. And the louder that we are and the more feedback we give, the better products that they can build. Has that been your experience?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a conversation or two with Tony. I've had multiple conversations with Morgan about the different things that we're looking at and where the industry's going. I've had a lot of conversations with our account rep, Lisa, who we're talking about all the time. And we just sent an email out to our system on Friday where we have about 70% of Freddy's stores that are on Restaurant365 right now. And so everybody's getting better at using it. Some are still struggling a little bit, but we're going to get them help, and we're going to try to work through that so that everybody gets to the same place. And it's usually around what I mentioned is they're remembering how they used to do it and not how they should do it. And that's a hard thing to get over, right? And so if we can get them there, I think all that feedback we've given will get stronger, because when I'm saying that we want everybody in our system to use this, it's because we know it works. And the feedback we've given helps us get there. So it's been great. And I can remember at the last conference I went out to dinner with the Restaurant365 team, and we talked about some of the issues we were having. And they listened, and we had solutions. Yeah. Right? And it's as simple as updating the software. Yeah. Don't just update it. You have to let us know something's happening, because we have to be ready for what's going to change. And they listened to that, and they made some changes, and we get alerts now that really help us understand what's going to change, so we know what to expect and what our teams expect, because we can communicate that to them, because they don't always get that communication.
So the people that are listening to this, that maybe they haven't implemented a Restaurant365 type solution into their restaurant, into their business on the financial side, some people, they don't have the ability to pay for a CFO level executive, but they do have the ability to evaluate financial technology for their business. Why do you think it needs to be a priority for them to focus on that side of their business?
Because those single, somebody that owns 1, 2, 3 restaurants is trying to do everything. Yeah. And so make it easier if you're going to do everything. If your information is automatically flowing into your system, that doesn't mean you have to sit down every night and do that, right? You can create your process for the way that's going to work, so that you're working it into your day, because you're running ops too, right? And so that's important. And I think once you understand how you do that, there's also services out there that will use Restaurant365 as your base, and they will help you manage those books on a per hour basis. Yeah. And so I think there's other things you can do that would really impact, because I think if you spend your time all over the place, which I've spent my time, a lot of time scattered, when I can focus in on something, the result is a lot better. And I think that if you can do that, your result would be better. So if you could spend more time on ops, or if you're really an accounting person, if you could spend more time on that side and hire somebody for ops, you're building your business in the right way.
If you could give one secret to scaling successfully to the person that's listening to this, what's one secret, one thing that they can do today to focus on to actually get to the place where you guys have found so much success?
Good people. A good team, because you can't do it by yourself. And you have to have trust in that team, and you have to be real with that team. And people who are engaged and are real, that creates a better team. And that's what I think pushes everything forward. Nobody can do it by themselves. And having good people around you catapults you forward.
So we always say, something my grandfather taught me is to stay curious, to get involved, and to ask for help. It's so important to be curious, to listen to podcasts, to consume content, industry-specific content. It's another thing, you actually have to put that content to use. You have to actually do something about it. And then finally, you have to ask for help. It's great to come to a conference, like more conferences like this where industry thought leaders are there, but then you actually have to do the follow-up work where you make a connection, you follow up, you DM somebody on LinkedIn, and then you ask them for 15 minutes of their time. Has there been any mentors in your life, times where you went, wow, I should have asked for help sooner?
Yeah, and I've learned that lesson the hard way, right? I'm stubborn, and I think I can do anything.
Yeah.
And it's not about that. It's about being well-rounded and being proud to lay your head down on the pillow at night to say, okay, everything went well, and bringing people along with you. Right, I think the educational of what I do on a daily basis is something that I try to teach different components of our teams, because I want somebody that will take my spot at some point, right? And I don't want just to feel like they're stagnant. We want to move, and we want to get moving. We want to think. We want to ask why. And if we're not asking questions, then we're not engaged, right? And that question why is always such an important thing, because if you don't know why you're doing it, then why are you doing it?
Yeah. So every single week on Wednesday and Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we put on a Clubhouse. It's an audio app that's where hospitality, restaurant thought leaders from all over the globe join us. Please join us if you're listening to this show. That way you can ask questions, you can get involved, you can ask for help. Where can people connect with you? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn? Yep. Perfect. We'll put a link in the show notes. We want to thank Restaurant365 for putting on this awesome transformation tour. Thank you to Tony Smith and to Morgan Harris and Alex, the entire team. It's super exciting to see a tech company putting this much investment into thought leadership, into industry excellence, into improving your businesses, scaling your businesses, meeting professionals like you that, the stuff that we're talking about here in Hollywood is applicable where Freddy's is, it's applicable in San Diego where Cali Barbecue is, it's applicable in Bulgaria where I go every single summer. This is all of these issues, all of these things that we talk about, third-party delivery, ordering online, making your business more efficient, using the internet, using your smartphone. These things are so important for every single business owner. So thank you for taking the time today and spending time with us, Bill. We truly appreciate it.
You're welcome. It was fun.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. We'll catch you next week.